What's going on, Emirates? We're back again with another video. In today's video, we're going to be covering MLB free agency a little bit. We're still in the early stages of things. Obviously, the World Series ended a week ago at this point. But I'm going to give you some of the main stories and some of the main decisions that are already happening. And we're going to go through everything pretty slowly right here. We're going to start with ESPN's article because there were a lot of options that were denied and extended, but it's kind of hard to find all of them. So just here are some of the key MLB dates, as you guys can see right here. So December 12th is the winter meetings in Dallas, Texas. Obviously, we know a lot of stuff can get decided on that on these days. You know, some stuff they'll talk about and then they'll finalize later. That usually happens most of the time. The Rule 5 draft is coming up December 11th. So how the Rule 5 draft works, any player that's not on that 40-man roster can be picked in this Rule 5 draft. And if you do pick up a player in this Rule 5 draft, they have to stay on that 40-man roster until you either release them or DFA them, or they get called to the big leagues and they play a certain amount of time. So that's how the Rule 5 draft works. Some teams, I feel like most of the time it's not too effective. Sometimes I like to trial guys out, but it can be kind of significant depending on who they leave off and on. So yeah, it can be an interesting, significant player. There's not too much talk about the Rule 5 draft just because I feel like it doesn't come in play as much. So obviously the MLB draft lottery is December 10th as well. They didn't really put it on this, but it's in the whole winter meetings thing. So we're going to have that as well. So a lot of stuff is going to happen between that December 9th and December 12th date. So I'm very excited about this. We're definitely be tweeting about a lot of this offseason stuff. I already have been going through all that stuff and been tweeting already. So if you guys want to go follow my Twitter, first link top of the description. We're going to be updating everything over there. Then January 9th, we have the deadline for teams, arbitration players to submit their salary figures. So a lot of people don't understand how arbitration works. I'll sum it up really quick. Pretty much every rookie contract has 6 years on there. It's 3 of them are just contracts. The other 3 is arbitration. How that works is you go to a hearing. So each side submits what they want the salary to be, and then they end up negotiating it in about that January-February time. And then all those hearings begin, as you can see, end of January. And then they kind of collectively decide on what the contract's going to be together. Well, that's basically what it is. In my opinion, I don't feel like a lot of players like arbitration from what I've heard and what kind of I've seen from most players, because they rather just take the contract. Most people like to avoid arbitration if they can, if the team actually gives them a contract. So we'll wait and see. And then February 22nd, spring training games officially begin. So we'll obviously start reporting to camp in that February time, which will be exciting. But let's kick it off with some of the major moves already. Obviously, the first splash was this Braves move with Jorge Soler to the Los Angeles Angels for Griffin Canning. Obviously, they weren't going to keep Soler. This is a known fact at this point. I mean, he was just there for the run, right? I think that's the main reason they got him, just for the run. We know he's not the player he was in 2020. Let's just face it. He hasn't had the greatest stats, but they ended up trading him to the Angels for Griffin Canning. Now, Canning's actually not a horrible player. He's had some decent success, so not a bad pickup for them. I think they just wanted to get something. Honestly, for the Angels, it kind of makes sense just to have some hitters over there. They got to start bringing people to those games over there. I mean, the Angels are just such an interesting organization. You're in the worst part of LA. The Dodgers just won, right? You're just cooked. You lost Ohtani to the Dodgers. Now you somehow have to get people to the stadium, which is just so hard for them to do, probably just with the better teams around them, with the Dodgers, with the Padres, with even the Giants. The A's are the only really one that is on the same level, at least in California. Let's go to the next one. So the Royals actually signed Michael Wacha. So he had a player option. I think it was for $10.6 million. So I don't know if that's just null and void. I would imagine so, but we're also gonna get more details on that. He gets the 3-year contract right here. The deal includes a club option and can max out at 4 years at $72 million. So that's the contract. Obviously, probably his last contract. He is getting up in that age category, but he was their number 3 pitcher. So I guess it makes sense for the Royals to kind of get him on back. Makes sense for Walker to get a long-term deal right there. Obviously, if he wants to continue to pitch. And the Royals, if he does start to slip up, he can definitely go down to, the 4th or 5th guy if they had to, at worst case scenario. And things that actually happened today when I'm recording this video, the Angels actually signed Kyle Hendricks. So did not really see this one as 1 year, $2.5 million. This one I didn't really, have any info about. Kind of just happened. The Cubs, he's obviously been with the Cubs his whole career pretty much. So interesting to see where he's at another team. Obviously, the Cubs are not going to re-sign him back, I don't think. I think they want to use some of that rookie talent. But for the Angels, once again, I think it's just, a spot to fill. Maybe he could teach some of their guys something. I think maybe that's the main thing they're thinking. But once again, he had a 4 or 5 ERA, so not the best pitcher. But we'll kind of see what happens with the Angels over there. And the Guardians signed back Austin Hedges, obviously going to keep him under contract only for a 1-year deal, but obviously they're going to keep their guy. Before we move on to the options, because they're talking about all the other players, this is what I found from Fangraphs on their free agent tracker. The MLB one is still from last year, so I haven't seen any new updates about that or anything like that. That's pretty much everything I tried to look, but we can see, these are the previous teams that were on the left side. The right side is all their new teams. So we can obviously see Aaron Bunmer's contract for 2 years at $13 million. The Hedges one for $4 million. The Kyle Hendricks one right here. We saw the Brent Sutter one earlier in the offseason. And then the Mets kind of re-signed their guys right here. So, but there's a lot to get into. We're going to start with this on the qualifying offers. Now, this is pretty important. I'm going to explain what the qualifying offer is, but these are the players. Let's run through them. So Juan Soto obviously going to get that qualifying offer. Corbin Burns with a qualifying offer. Alex Bregman, Max Fried, Willy Adames, Pete Alonso, Anthony Santander, Teoscar Hernandez, Christian Walker, Sean Manaea, and Luis Severino are my 11 players that deserved it. Nick Pivetta and Nick Martinez, low-key, their agents are godlike because I don't know how they got it, especially Pivetta. His is insane. He's got like a 3.45 ERA. I feel like he did not pitch that good, to be honest. I think most people didn't think that. But the qualifying offers, I think it's $21 million or $22 million on a one-year deal. So how it works, they have a certain time to decide if they want to take that contract. And if they take it, it's pretty good. We've seen players in the past take that contract. There was a player on the Rangers that took it, and he ended up winning the World Series that year. So kind of smart on his end. I kind of forgot what that player was. If anyone remembers, let me know in the comment section down below, because it was one of their homegrown players that actually pitched well for him. I totally forgot who it was, but someone might know in the comment section down below. But how it works after this, so if they don't end up signing that, right, they don't end up signing that contract, and another team signs one of these players, then they're going to get a draft pick in the next draft. So it is beneficial for the teams to do this, especially on guys where they think they got a chance to leave, right? But once again, giving them the qualifying offer, they could re-sign. So, that's another factor you got to kind of deal with, especially on a player that you just, maybe don't want either. So guys like Bregman and Fried that have the best chance to re-sign, even with Willy Adames, low-key, he could probably re-sign. Same with Pete Alonso. These guys will probably get normal deals, right? But you never know. They could take that contract if they really want it. I mean, 22 for one season is not bad. And how they get that number, they basically combine all the average contracts in the league, and then they get to one figure after all those contracts. So that's how they get to that number. It's like accumulation of all the contracts that have been given out. So as we can see, right-hander Garrett Cole is remaining with the New York Yankees on a 4-year, $144 million deal that he had to opt out of. So basically, what he basically says, they might do an extension on him. Kind of what he says, I don't know, he puts it in like confusing terms. I don't really know why he did that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I don't really know. He obviously wants to get more money. I don't think it's going to happen. But Garrett Cole will be with the New York Yankees next season. This was an interesting one for me. The Atlanta Braves have denied their $8 million club option on Travis d'Arnaud. Now, obviously, he's been on this team for a while, and he's been really good for them, I thought. But they're not going to extend him, which I thought was kind of a surprise. I don't know about y'all, but I really did think they were going to extend him. But I guess they're going to go another way. He's a free agent. Maybe they could re-sign him. Maybe another team will re-sign him. But he's basically been the DH for this team for a little bit just because they have, Sean Murphy to catch, so they didn't really need him. So another interesting one, the Milwaukee Brewers have denied closer Kevin Williams club option for $10.5 million. He receives a buyout, obviously, of that contract, but very interesting they didn't bring him back. He's been a decent pitcher, right? He's been a good pitcher, so that's why it was kind of confusing in my opinion. I thought he's been good, but I guess they didn't really want him anymore. So very interesting. I'm not really sure. They could have traded him too, but I'm not really sure what's going on there. Now, this is an interesting one. I don't know if you got heard about this story, but there's an investigation. Apparently, there was this Dominican player who was, he lied about his age. He was 5 years older. He was playing in, 12, or it was 14U or 15U tournaments. He was, 19 years old. So, yeah, that was a big scandal. The Padres did end up giving him, a contract after he was 16, which is when he could sign international free agents. They wanted to do that, and they gave him, $4 million. But now he's under investigation for lying about his age. So, crazy, never thought I'd see this. The Padres are obviously known for signing a lot of guys, internationally and stuff like that. Obviously, Tatis was one of them, right? So, very interesting story right here. I have no idea what's going to happen with this player, if he's going to get banned from the league, if the deal's not going to go through anymore. No idea what's going to happen. So, obviously, Robbie Ray's getting up there in age. He did not opt out of his contract with the San Francisco Giants. He's got 2 years at $50 million left. So, pretty solid over there. And this is the contract he signed in 2022. So, makes sense why he didn't opt out. I mean, I understand, guys want to opt out to get more money. But once again, he didn't have the best season, so it makes sense. And there's a competitive pitching market, so I understand it on that aspect. And this one we could be pretty happy about. Cody Bellinger picked up his player option for $27.5 million. Obviously was a good player for the Cubs, right? Obviously really good. I think the team did well enough for him to come back, which I think is the main point, right? I think that's the main point. So I'm kind of glad about that. His deal was very weird. He's got another player opt out next season. So his deal was pretty much sign him for 1 year, player opt out, year, player opt out. So that's kind of how his contract is. So he's got the option once again next year to opt out. This was another pretty big one. The Yankees have declined their option on Anthony Rizzo. I wasn't really surprised by this. We know he's not the best player, right? They have young talent to play that position. We've seen it with Ben Rice. They had John Birdie play there, right, in the postseason. So I'm not really surprised. They do have to pay him, I think, $15 million or $8 million to deny him. They're going to end up paying him $8 million this season. But he's a free agent, so you can sign to any team. Another good one I thought is the Diamondbacks picked up Eugenio Suarez. Once again, I rate Eugenio Suarez pretty highly, especially on the Diamondbacks team. $15 million. He's really not going to get more money anywhere else. Is a candidate for the Miami Marlins position for the manager. So very interesting. We'll kind of see how this kind of develops moving forward. I mean, you win a World Series, and then you get offered a manager position. Obviously, you're going to get more money and more control over that team. So honestly, it might be worth it for him. But that is pretty much all the news we have so far about this whole offseason. Obviously, the GM meetings are currently going on right now. I did see a couple of the Scott Boras interviews. A lot of the Scott Boras clients, once again, are in this offseason. But once again, the next major thing we have is the winter meetings, at least for the MLB after these GM meetings are done. So we'll wait to see that. Then we got the draft lottery, which will be very exciting, which we will be streaming on this channel. So stay tuned for that. If you guys did enjoy this video, I'm covering all pretty much the options and contracts we have in this early phase of the offseason. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we will definitely have more updates moving forward. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next one. Peace out, everyone.